Damn. I gotta put all that shit back on. God damn it.
Welcome to podcast number 4 of Waiting on Diego. This week, though, everyone was waiting on me. I'm just hoping I can get these things edited and uploaded before, what do you say, like the 10th show? Not too much to ask. I know everyone's been getting on me every week. Do you guys get any of those things uploaded, you know? I mean, no. I'm about as effective editing and getting this stuff done as Diego is watching a movie on time.
For the record, I am here and on time. I have seen the movie, and I am ready to go.
Well, I would hope so. You picked this fucking movie. I would hope you would actually watch it.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's hope you contribute something, at least.
Exactly.
Since last week you just sat there and got yelled at your dad the whole time like you're 15.
That was awesome. that was pretty much the highlight of last week. Anyway,
40-year-old men back at home. It's
and being yelled at in Portuguese was the best too. That was pretty sweet.
Let's do our quick intro. I'm Matt. I'm Spanish. Joined here by Brian, JJ, and Diego. And let's get this bitch started. Diego, why don't you give me the synopsis that I emailed you so you can have a coherent statement to start this thing off.
Well, the synopsis, I'm not going to go with your synopsis. I've seen this movie enough to give you a pretty coherent synopsis. Essentially, there's a current Secret Service agent who is right around retirement age. He is still a Secret Service agent, and he was the only living Secret Service agent who was on the JFK detail when JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. He then
now you ruined JFK for me. Now I can't watch that movie. Thank you.
he then becomes...
Hey, JJ, it's back and to the left. Back to the left.
That's what I tell my wife.
Are you guys going to let me finish or what? So Agent Frank Horrigan... Agent Frank Horrigan.
You're supposed to be brief.
Well, I'm going to give you a brief one. He becomes the center of a new assassination plot by a wet boy, as they call him, a former CIA op, I guess, who was in charge of assassinations, goes after the current president, and Frank Horrigan is basically being involved in this by the killer. And Frank Horrigan's job now, of course, is to protect the current president, and that's what happens.
So you've got two things going on here. One, you got a guy who feels really bad the fact that he was on duty when a president was assassinated, so he's trying really, really hard to stop the crazy CIA dude who's only killing the president because he's pissed that his CIA killing job is getting, what is he getting, he's getting laid off from it, right?
No, he's been laid off a while ago.
Knocked off, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him, and they actually sent his friend to kill him.
Well, that's the most final layoff that you can possibly get, right? I mean, that's worse than the pink slip.
True. So the guy's name, his real name is Mitch Leary. He goes by several aliases, but Mitch Leary is the killer in this movie, and he gets very close, obviously, to killing the current president.
Who's the president? What's the president's name in this
movie? That's your life story, right, Diego? Getting close.
We can't seal the deal. All right, what's the president's name in this movie?
The president's name in this movie is Traveler, which is an odd name for a president.
That is not his real name. That's his code name that the Secret Service uses when he's not out.
True. President Jim Curley. That's correct. You're right.
Yeah,
Very good.
Dark and curly.
Jim Dark and Curly.
I wanted to get two things out of the way here before we get started. Number one, I think the reason Diego picked this movie was because he's always wanted to be in the Secret Service, because this movie isn't all that great. I mean, it's a solid movie, but it's not... I would probably pick at least 200-300 movies before I would pick this. If we're, this is only like our 4th episode, and we're getting something that's not even close to being an epic movie. Good movie, but I don't think I would put it up there.
It's a good movie. It's not crazy enough or stupid enough necessarily to be, but it's a solid early 90s thriller. I can't believe this movie was actually 1993. I could have sworn it came out in 95. I mean, it's only 4 years after Roadhouse, and you can see the quality differences between between the two in just 4 years.
Yeah, the
Well,
second
let me
thing.
ask you this:
Hold on.
There's
one-
no monster trucks in this movie.
The
Do
one.
you guys consider it a good movie if it only cost $40 million to make, and yet at the box office it made $187 million?
No, because the Transformers movies make so much money, and they are the worst things that has ever been put on. Actually, the 4 Transformers movies are a sign there is no God or gods. I mean,
Yeah, but the difference is you weren't attracting a bunch of parents with their kids for this movie. You were attracting.
I never.
I would rather
judged
take my
their
kids to this
quality
movie
of
than a Transformers movie. It's nowhere near as bad as a Transformers
Yeah.
movie. It's
That's
less
never judged
racially poor.
by
My point is,
box office returns ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you're going to go by money and interest by the majority of the people, then we would be reviewing the Kardashians or the Housewives of
Right.
Atlanta or some other horse shit that everyone else likes.
well,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
when
say-
you're when you're talking about Clint Eastwood movies, I mean, this is a good Clint Eastwood movie, but this is nowhere near
Yeah.
the pantheon of Clint Eastwood movies. You know, this would be behind a bunch of other ones. So that's all
Yeah.
I think. To Matt's point.
So,
This
yeah,
is
I'm
just
sure.
I-
I'm sure there was. Yeah, my second point I just wanted to get to really quick was if we're going to talk about. I'm going to compare four of the things. If we're going to talk about the director, he's done Neverending Story, Air Force One, Outbreak, Perfect Storm, Troy, Poseidon. None of those are great, but they're all right up there, right? And then, but if we're going to talk about actual movies that are better than this, just movies that Clint Eastwood did, then we're gonna be doing. How about just Clint Eastwood movies that I've seen? There's a bunch of other good ones that he's done that I haven't even seen, but Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Dirty Harry, Outlaw Josie Wales, Escape from Alcatraz, Unforgiven, and then for Diego, The Bridges of Madison County.
The Good, Bad, and the
Well, first-
Ugly for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
few dollars more.
First of all, before you guys
Firefox.
assail this
Just
movie,
full dollars.
before you guys
Can't forget
assail my
Firefox.
choice, I want to say a couple things.
Gran Torino.
For one, I disrespectfully disagree with all of you. That's number one. Number two, it got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, and
It's a
number
solid
three,
movie.
it made 4.5 times the money that they spent to make it without kids going to it, which totally throws out all those Transformer movies and things like that where they make crazy money.
If the
No kids
Kardashians,
going to it.
Kardashians made a movie, it wouldn't cost anything and it would make a ton of money. That doesn't mean anything.
Okay, well that's a very,
Listen,
very small
The
exception.
movie is
to
solid. It's a very solid 90s thriller movie. It's, I went and sit back and watch it over and over again, but the first time I saw it, I thought it was pretty good.
I've seen
Good
it
premise.
I've probably seen it 15 times.
John Malkovich is creepy as hell, so
I
playing
do-
off the hinge
Really good.
I do
CIA
love-
killer. If it's
I think this is one of Malkovich's best movies, but I think Clint has done a lot of better movies. And I know Rene Russo has done, Major League 2, a couple Lethal Weapons, Outbreak, Get Shorty, Tin Cup, Thomas Crown Affair. I mean, she's done a lot better movies. And
she looks a lot younger than I thought she'd be in that
Yeah.
movie. I don't know. I was surprised by that, to be honest with you.
What's your favorite Malkovich flick?
You know which movie I didn't buy him in? I didn't think he did a very good job?
What's up?
Being John Malkovich. I thought he played a poor John Malkovich.
Yeah, he
Pretty
did
funny.
a pretty piss poor John Malkovich. I love that movie though. It's so weird, but I don't think it beats ultimately Heart of Darkness, which was the real Apocalypse Now. And Rounders.
that one?
I think Rounders was his
Rounders
best.
is good. Underrated.
Yeah.
Very watchable.
And then,
In fact, I would rather watch Rounders than
yeah,
Blind
no,
Fox.
I love Rounders. And then of course Diego's favorite Beowulf.
Are you guys done attacking my movie? Let's actually review my movie.
Okay, let's get to it. I figured I was going to take at least 10 or 15 minutes to talk about all the other movies that just these actors
Right,
and
that-
actresses have done that I like better than this movie. Okay,
Just
now
so you
that
know,
I've
just
gone through
to
that,
Matt's point.
Yeah.
Hey, real quickly to Matt's point, Heart of Darkness was the same year as this movie, so his version of Apocalypse Now was also in '93. He was pretty busy.
Yeah.
that year.
Wow. No kidding. That's a movie I've never
oh, you know
seen
what?
the whole movie
okay,
of.
we fucked up last week because we were all out of it. What is everyone drinking tonight? That was supposed
Yeah,
to be
I was just
first.
about to ask that.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll start. I am drinking my trusty Jameson on the rocks.
So when we first started, we were supposed to do something different every week, and I know I haven't been very good at being different. But I'm drinking some Diet Coke and vodka, purchased at Costco, of course. They're going to sponsor us one of these weeks.
No kidding. Holy crap. What a whore.
Yeah.
Well, I will drink something different next week. I've been in the process of getting my kitchen redone, so I haven't had a lot of time to go to the grocery store or the liquor store.
I find podcasts are a lot more fun when you're drinking and
Yes.
drunk. So
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Jackie O's, which is out of Athens, Ohio, a Mystic Mama IPA, which is my current favorite IPA that you can get here in Ohio. Now, my favorite one I've had all year is the High Lie IPA by Cigar City Brewery out of Florida, but you can't get it up here. So my second favorite IPA I've had all summer is Mystic Mama by Jackie O's.
Nice.
Very nice. And I'm drinking. This is not your granddad's root beer. Thank you very much.
Pretty good. Wait, is
My
that
wife loves
alcoholic?
Yeah, it's a beer that tastes like root beer. It's quite good.
I
Yeah, my
see.
wife loves
Good
that.
for kids, I guess.
You can't drink a lot of those; it's too sweet. But it's like 6% alcohol in one bottle. Not bad.
That's not bad. Can we talk about the movie and
finally,
how?
okay, it's been, what are we talking, like 10 minutes? We'll get to the movie now. Let's go. So what
Well,
was your favorite thing?
Hold on, before we get into anything, I just want to bring up Bill Lumberg is in this movie, and that
He
is
is.
the reason enough.
Gary
for you to love
Cole.
His name's Bill in this one, too.
It is Gary Cole, and he's a dick in it too. He plays a serious role, kind of an
I
asshole.
know. He's perfect for it.
I like
He was
him
Bill
better
Lumberg?
in Talladega Nights.
Who was Bill Lumberg in this?
Another Secret Service
Oh, it's
agent.
Bill Watts, Agent Bill Watts. He's
Bill
Secret,
Watts?
Yeah.
he's
Bill.
Secret Service.
Bill Watts. Yep.
He's the boss of the detail, the president's detail.
But he did ultimately let Clint Eastwood in at the end of the movie where the president was there with his speech. So he might actually have been the hero of the movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He could have kept him out, but he let him in. So I say actually he's the
did.
true hero of the movie.
So anyway,
Well-
let's wrap this up. It's 11 minutes in. I'm done. I'm going to give it a 6.5. How about you guys?
All right, I hope you're kidding. On the rating and on cutting this podcast short, because this is my podcast, my episode of the podcast.
Yeah, I think I'm going to change the rules next week. I thought it would be a good idea to give a little bit of freedom, but I don't think that's working so well for me.
Well, we're going to keep everything that's easily available streaming online, for one
That's
thing,
true.
instead of me
Yeah.
spending more time looking for the movie than actually watching it.
Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to let you guys do what you've been dying to do intelligently and haven't done so yet. Tell me why you didn't like the movie. That's what I want to hear.
I like the movie.
No one's saying that we didn't
I
like it.
I want you to critique
There's-
the movie and give me the negatives that you see that apparently I don't see, because we've been dancing around this issue for 11 minutes now. So
Okay.
why don't you guys
I could
tell me
just-
each, in your own words, what you didn't like or what you
I'm
found?
going to sum it up really quickly. It's a good movie. We'll all agree it's a very good movie. Very great actresses in this movie. However, it's not a classic. Either you're going to pick a movie that because it's either really funny, it's horrible, and it's funny because it's so horrible, like Roadhouse, or or it's just like a classic like Predator. I mean, that's just an all-time classic movie. I mean, this is, it's a solid movie, but
Right.
there's hundreds and hundreds of movies that are bigger classics that are all, it's either an unbelievably just iconic film or it's a really terrible movie that's just funny to review because it's so terrible. I mean, there's got to be some major reason why you're going to pick it other than you wanted to be a Secret Service agent.
Well,
Okay, before the
Go
next
ahead,
person goes, I just want to say my objection stands to all of your critiques, but go forward.
I'm going to say, listen, good movie when it originally came out in the early 90s. I think it was great for its time. I think good premise, Secret Service agent who's kind of not failed, but he feels really bad about what happened in his career, trying to redeem himself. You got a crazy CIA killer by John Malkovich, all good. Problem is, it's not super rewatchable, right? Like once the original thrill of the first time you watch it, know kind of how it ends up, you don't ever recover that thrill anymore. There's not as many good one-liners or like memorable scenes in it. So when you watch it again, it's kind of like meh. And I will say, the movie, one big problem I did have with the movie is I think it was a little I think taught people how to make those guns that are like out of plastic that they can sneak in. And for a while in the 90s, people were sneaking plastic guns in and killing people all the time. So
you know what? Honestly, that was one of the only things I even remembered. I mean, I haven't seen this movie in 20 years. That plastic gun was probably the only thing I actually remembered from the movie.
that and killing, like, he just, I don't know. I mean, listen, it was the first time I watched the movie, it was super thrilling, exciting, great, perfect for its time in the 90s, but rewatching it just doesn't have that same little, just the energy, I don't think, with it. It's just because you know what's going to happen.
And then before we get to Brian's comment on this, I just wanted to say the one point I'm going to disagree with you on is there were some good quotes on this. For instance, you have a rendezvous with my ass, motherfucker. I thought that was a pretty good quote.
Well, hold on. I thought we were doing quotes later.
No, I understand. I was just saying he didn't think there were so many good quotes from this. And
it's not a good quote if you can hear the same thing in a gay porn, okay?
Now, how would you know it? Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Because there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian, what's your problem?
Well, I like when you're talking about quotes too. I mean, I've got one that I'm definitely going to use on my kids, like as soon as I can, which is "Show me some goddamn respect."
You don't already?
No, absolutely.
You know what's funny too?
That's why they walk all over me.
You know what's funny too about the quotes on this? I don't know if I should bring it up now or when we're doing quotes, but there was a pretty good quote that brought up one of our previous reviews. So I don't know if we should. I guess I'll just say it now. Anyway, when he said Leary's an assassin, that's putting it lightly. He's more like a predator. It all comes back.
Right.
It all comes back.
So I'm just going to say, you guys, sure, you might have found quotes that you liked in the movies, but have you ever been out anywhere in a social setting or anything where anybody has ever recited a quote from In the Line of Fire like they have Predator or Roadhouse?
No, not a bit.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's my point is proven.
That is a solid argument.
It'll never be in the, like I said, that pantheon of classic movies from that time period, but it is a good movie. I enjoyed watching it again. I liked, this was still Eastwood when Eastwood was a badass without even being
still young enough to pull off a physical role.
Yeah, all right. And the dialogue scenes over the phone between Malkovich and Eastwood were awesome. Every single scene they did, they were awesome, fantastic.
They were.
That was the best parts of the movie.
Well, actually, other than that, like I agree with you. I love the phone calls, the back and forth there, and I'm not gonna shit on this movie the whole time because it was a really good movie. I'm just kind of pissed because there's a bunch of other iconic movies that we could have picked instead of this. But since this is what we got, we'll make the best of it. And I did want to say my second favorite part.
By the way, I just want you guys to know nobody shat on anybody else's movies like this.
Well, that's because no one else picked a shitty movie.
We're all saying this is a good movie for the time it was in. Nobody's saying it's a bad movie at all.
Everyone else picked an iconic movie.
I find this to be an iconic movie, and it's one of my favorites of all time.
That's cool. Hey, man, you're allowed to like that one of your favorites all time.
The cool thing, the cool thing is they bring back a lot of the Kennedy assassination, obviously, and some of the history there. And it was cool that they
imposed Flint into it.
Yeah, it was cool how they did all that, and then I thought it was cool as well how they.
It was very Forrest Gump-like.
Yeah, it was nice.
Don't bring that up.
The other thing, obviously, I was kind of envious because you guys obviously spent a lot of time in DC, more time than I've spent, and little things like putting the old Ebbett Grill and bar in it, and like bringing people like Fred Thompson into it. I mean, Fred Thompson, it was so cool, and they were talking about when they were talking about Clint Eastwood's character Frank, and he's talking with the old time director, and he's telling the stories about. I'm sorry, he was talking to Rene Russo, and he was talking about when he got in the fight with the chief of staff for Nixon's administration. Well, the great thing about that, they're obviously insinuating that's Bob Haldeman, who was directly tied in with the Watergate scandal and resigned, but they were making him basically look like a dickhead. And they bring that in with Fred Thompson, who was directly tied to the Watergate hearings and had history with that whole thing. And then it ended up being a senator himself, like a year after this movie comes out. So there was a lot of cool things I thought from the political side and some of the historical stuff that was really cool. The movie, there were some great parts in it. I thought the ending was just kind of but the whole movie, it was cool to watch it again because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I enjoyed it. But, that's... Well, that's why I'll leave it.
Did you guys think that this movie, the phone call scenes where they're going back and forth, kind of reminded you of Silence of the Lambs, where even though it wasn't a phone call, it was just the back and forth with Hannibal Lecter in the prison. That kind of just reminded me the way that they're going back and forth, just talking about like, this is my plan. I'm going to do all this stuff. You can't stop me. It sort of just reminded me of how Hannibal was acting.
I didn't think of Silence of the Lambs. I actually thought of the one scene in Heat where actually De Niro and Pacino are together at the restaurant talking.
Yeah, that too. That's another good example.
That's actually what it would more reminded me of. And one thing I will appreciate is that you've got Malkovich and Clint Eastwood, really good actors, like giving it their all in those scenes. So that's always good. That's always a cool part of it. And that's definitely.
And how cool was it? How cool was it in the first 2 or 3 calls where Malkovich is super cool, right? He never loses his calm. He's in control of it. But when they finally find out who he is, and Frank tells him about him, he loses his shit.
Yep.
And like it was so cool to see that flipped. But then again, the next time that they have a call, Malkovich is back in control and just shows you like this dude is a caged animal. You know, he played that character so great, and they in the way that they cut the movie was really cool. How like that scene where they show up at his old house in Phoenix, and Frank basically takes out the CIA guy. Every time you see that Frank's a badass, the next scene they show Malkovich doing something crazy, killing the bank teller lady, or killing the 2 guys who wanted to test out his gun. Like he's just as hardcore. So it's going to come to this ultimate clash. I just think that's where the movie for me kind of just was sort of was like the rooftop scene was just kind of okay when his buddy Al gets shot, and then
Dermot Mulroney. I was glad to see him dead.
Yeah, he was a whiny girly man.
It was
you should have let him choked out on that plastic bag on the boat. That would have been a lot better. They should let him die.
It was Dylan McDermott.
Yeah.
But you said Dermot Mulroney.
Dylan McDermott. Those guys are the exact same person. Whatever.
Which one was the Young Guns?
Dermot Mulroney.
Well, I think Dylan McDermott was best known for his part as John Douche in the video short The Douche.
I don't
think I've ever seen that.
I mean, that's pretty sad when like that's his best the best.
No, Dylan McDermott was best known for a TV show where he was a cop.
I know he won some awards, but he was in a video called The Douche. So,
you know what I thought was creepy is when John Malkovich put Eastwood's gun in his mouth while they're hanging on the rooftop.
Yeah, that was actually until the end of that part. I thought that was like probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. Actually.
That was just super creepy, though. Like, I'm just like,
I loved it. I think John Malkovich is probably the biggest reason why this was a good movie.
No doubt.
I like Clint Eastwood, but I like Clint Eastwood better when he was younger. I don't think any of his stuff when he was older, it just doesn't hold a candle. I mean, it's nowhere near like his Western stuff. And I'm not even a huge Western fan, but he was a badass in all those Westerns. And John Malkovich in this movie was fucking awesome. He
killed too many innocent people in it, though. I think they're trying to go over the top to make sure he was crazy and a killer. But he's an ex-CIA guy who's gunning for the president. Do you really need to see him like killing some innocent people? I mean, you don't need that.
He had no choice. He had to kill people who knew vital things.
She was from Minnesota. That was her problem.
She was from Minneapolis. So there's randomness,
What about the dudes when he's testing out the gun?
Well, it's kind of interesting because it was talking about the JFK thing, and the whole thing with the JFK thing, and then talking about the randomness that I think there's still this issue of accepting that there could be a lone gunman who could kill the president for no reason other than their own motivation, and that they could rock a society by just one person making that decision who's that committed to doing it. So I didn't have a problem with that. What I had a problem with was I think the movie got in the way of the story. I mean, doing dumb shit like forcing foreshadowing on you. I hate that more than anything. I hate it when shows do it. I hate it when movies do it. Like when he goes up the elevator with the head of the Democratic Party, whatever, the
Victory Committee.
The Victory Committee, and he makes the comment about great view, huh? So let me lace the odds right then in the movie that we're going to end up with some ultimate fight scene in this exact elevator with this exact view. Are you kidding?
How many cuts they have the show of the elevator on the outside of the building? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, come on now. You could have done, and that's nothing to do with the story or the acting. That's the director and the way that movie was the screen and the screenplay. That was so forced that it was irritating because it's like that's when you dumb a movie down because you you feel like you have to do it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I liked about the movie?
Sure.
Your movie?
One of the many things I liked about the movie. You guys remember when John Malkovich is talking about Kennedy's favorite poem?
Yeah.
And he says, it's I Have a Rendezvous with Death.
Yeah.
That's a poem by Alan Seeger. And of course, I looked it up. And in fact, it was one of Kennedy's, if not his favorite. It was definitely one of his favorite poems, which is pretty interesting considering he was assassinated.
Do you remember what Leary says about it?
I don't. I can't verbatim recite it.
Says,
but go ahead.
He basically says it's not even a good poem. It's not even a good
Did he
poem.
say that?
Yeah.
He says it's not even a good poem. He's
That
just
part I don't remember.
Obsessed with it. Great. It was such a great
see.
moment.
I love the fact that they incorporated things like that, which, like, I think somebody earlier had said, that was one of the positives. I can't remember if it was JJ or Matt or you,
Brian.
but yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the fact that they dropped in those things, and if you looked it up, you took the time to look it up. Sure enough, they were accurate, and they really made the movie seem like it. Clint Eastwood was in fact, a Secret Service agent at the time of the assassination.
Go back to the
Dallas.
very beginning. Go back to the very beginning when he first calls him, and he tells him basically, that he knows about Frank's association with the detail in Dallas, and he says, call me Booth, and he says, why not Oswald? And he says Booth had panache. Well, it was kind of funny because it's basically that Oswald was a complete joke. He was a complete joke.
You're stealing all my quotes, motherfucker.
Hold on, do you guys remember?
Now I can't.
Do you guys remember
I gotta
when?
Go with quote number 2 now.
Do you guys remember when panache came up later in the movie?
Yeah, when he was talking to his bitch, and he said, "I had to look it up
His
too."
bitch being
Renee
Russo.
Yeah,
yes.
he was asking her.
By the way,
she
we
knew
want
what it
female
was.
viewers. Matt, we want female viewers. Can you not use that kind of language?
Oh, I'm sorry, biatch.
No. How about love interest?
Love interest. Okay. How much older is Clinton this?
He's 63 in this. He's 63.
Oh.
And I didn't see what Rene Russo was.
So he was 63.
He was a
Renee
good
Russo was
25
39.
years.
Same year of Kennedy's assassination, which is interesting.
She was 39.
Right.
Wait, what about the same year of Kennedy's assassination?
So he was as old as the year of the assassination.
Oh, right, 1963.
So have you guys read?
You know what month?
Yeah, November.
And what day?
November 23rd.
What month and what day?
November 23rd.
22nd.
22nd. 22nd. So
you're wrong, Brian. You're right.
I meant the 22nd. Have you guys read the book?
Which one?
November 22nd, 63 by Stephen King?
No.
No.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is really good.
No.
Diego, you wouldn't like it because it's a fiction.
Just somebody travels back in time to try to stop the assassination, right?
Yeah, it's really good though.
No, but I know a ton about that, more than I wish I did know about it. But it's interesting.
Oh, okay.
It's fascinating.
Let me ask you a quick question before we get off the rails on Kennedy assassination stuff. Let me just ask you one question. Did you know
the blue pill or the red pill?
There was a person in 2006 who admitted involvement in the Kennedy assassination plot?
Well, I'm sure people admit that shit all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's credible.
Really? Well, I want you to research that and you tell me all the people who've admitted that because I don't think there's many.
Or you tell us. I don't have time to research it.
Was this person crazy?
Well, that is debatable, but I would say no.
You have to be crazy to be admitting this anyway, right?
No,
Andy Kaufman, right?
Oh, it's
Andy
a
Kaufman?
mafia boss. Give me a break. I mean, the truth of the matter is,
it's not a mafia boss.
E. Howard, who is this? This is a book
E.
by
Howard Hunt, who was involved in the Watergate scandal. He admitted on his deathbed in 2006 at the age of like 91 on video in front of his son.
Was this a dying declaration, Diego?
That he was a low-level operative in the Kennedy assassination plot and that Harvey Oswald did not do it alone.
That's a bunch of garbage.
I disagree. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with
They've done
his
forensic
statement.
tests. They've done forensic tests that basically prove that the shots absolutely could have and more than likely did come from a single place with a single gun. And the magic bullet, there's nothing magic about it. Like it's one guy. That's what's great about the parallel with this movie is it's one guy.
Couldn't disagree with you more. This is the one conspiracy theory I actually believe.
Are you a truther, Diego?
When it comes to this, I'm 100% a truther, and I think that Jack Ruby assassinating Lee Harvey Oswald for no reason, having no connection to John Kennedy, is the most telling piece of evidence that shows that this was an assassination plot by multiple people.
You know, I
and a
agree
conspiracy.
with you on that point as well.
There's
no chance that this was one person.
Just as much evidence that Ruby was just the same type of person that Oswald was.
That was a fantastic movie, by the way. I would have rather reviewed Ruby. I would have rather reviewed that movie than this.
Why did Oswald use the term "I'm a patsy" or the statement "I'm a patsy"? I don't think that comes out of nowhere.
Well, and the same thing you know what bothered me the most probably about this movie, bringing it back to the movie and away from the JFK talk for a minute.
Conspiracy theories.
I knew this was going to happen, by the way. I knew it was going to be like 90% JFK talk because the movie isn't that good, so we had to talk about something else.
So this whole time, like, this guy, Leary, is so dedicated. He'll trade his life for the president's, but he quits at the end. He just gives up. He just lets go. Like, that was so not in his DNA to admit defeat. And yet, there he is doing it. And
he
quits.
What are you talking about?
He lets go of Frank.
Let's go at that elevator.
He's going to be jailed for life.
Who cares? He's a killer. Like, you don't. He is basically an animal cornered.
Yeah.
And rather than fighting to the very, very end, you know, not like a Hans Gruber type of thing where he whips out the gun from the back and tries to shoot the hero. Oh, he was faking trying to be saved.
Oh, there's another movie we should have reviewed instead of this one, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Not get sidetracked.
He lets go and just quits, and you're like, you little bitch.
Yeah. It was very. You know what, Diego? Honestly, this was a solid movie. A lot of good parts. I really loved Malkovich. Pretty much every scene he was in. I'm agreeing with everyone else. This was sort of like a lost ending. My favorite TV show of all time. Shitty 15-minute ending, and this was sort of the same thing. The ending really fell short for me. It
was not nearly as thrilling.
Although his fall was pretty far, but the ending was.
Let me ask you guys a different question. Did you pick up on the political affiliation of the president? Was he a Republican or a Democrat?
Had to be
a Democrat.
Really? Had to be a Democrat. Had to be a Democrat.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you say Democrat?
Two reasons. One, the first rally he's at, you got a bunch of pro-choice signs going up in the crowd. And second of all, he's at, when he has the balloon popping thing, he's at an AFL-CIO rally.
Yep.
And what's the last Republican president candidate? Oh, by the way, so an incumbent president has to really be a complete douchebag to not win re-election, basically.
He was down big, too. He was down like 15 points, right?
12 points with 6 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And what I loved, what it didn't even dawn on me was,
crushed.
It's pretty much a known fact that presidents, like 2 years into their first term, are already starting the campaign trail for re-election. So that's what they're doing most of the time.
I think Obama was about 6 months in before.
Yeah, I think this was 20 years ago. This movie was 20 years ago. It was different 20 years ago. Well, nowhere near as it is now.
Even then, though, the point is that you're basically paying. We as taxpayers are basically paying for the protection detail for the president to go out on the campaign trail, not for his day job, but to get reelected.
Yep.
So all of that is basically footed by the taxpayers. It's kind of crazy. I was somewhere, I've known that for a while, but for some reason it just never really dawned on me that you're like, because I think it was the window dressing line, when Frank, I love that part when Frank and Rene Russo are sitting at the Lincoln Memorial and they're talking, and he asks her about how many female agents there are, and she says 125, and he goes, window dressing. She goes, excuse me? He says 2,000 agents and 125 are females. You're window dressing. It's like, but honestly, half of what we do in our daily lives is window dressing, especially.
I'm pretty sure it's more than half.
So thinking about Secret Service agents now, like that was a much more I think, respected position than it is now when these guys are getting busted with prostitutes and letting people break into the White House and all this shenanigans that have happened recently. Getting an armed guy getting in an elevator with the president. Like, Secret Service has really gone downhill since Clint retired.
Well, that was what was funny about when Rene Russo and Clint are messing around. They're technically not on duty, but they're obviously on detail, and they're about to get busy. And you're thinking, well, this isn't the first time that we've heard about Secret Service people getting a little crazy in the bedroom.
He wasn't paying for it that time, though. At least like they do now.
All right, I gotta. This scene. I have to bring up my favorite movie comparison. So Clint is getting it on with Renee. Kind of reminded me of another movie. Do you guys know? Are you guys thinking the same thing as I am?
I try not to think about 60-year-old guys doing that kind of stuff, but
not because of the age, because of what they were doing before they were getting it on. What were they doing?
Talking?
No, what they were like getting on. They were throwing stuff on the ground. What were they doing?
Like Lethal Weapon?
No.
Police Academy?
Yes. They were throwing all their guns and shit on the floor.
Yeah,
it reminded me of Tackleberry and Kirkland.
But she did the same thing in Lethal Weapon when they were showing each other their different wounds and scars and stuff. And
I know, but the Tackleberry scene was way more iconic. Which is another movie we should have been doing.
$5 for every time I've been cock-blocked by the president, I'm telling you.
You wouldn't have $5.
You know what's funny about also, Jason? So we have one of our friends, what was it, Nate, who had the girl he was hooking up with yelling, "Oh, Johnny," instead of, in this scene, Tackleberry was saying, "Oh, Eugene," after, they were taking out all their weapons. And the best part about this, or you guys are going to love, was what happened to cockblock Clint from hooking up with Renee in that scene. Why didn't he get some lovin'?
No Viagra?
No, they changed there was a change in the campaign stop.
So that's right.
No, there was a phone call.
That's what I'm saying, but on the call.
They had to move.
No, but I'm saying the point was interrupted by a phone call, just like me. Yes. Yeah, I could relate to Clint. Yes.
And that's why you don't like the movie.
That's it. It must have been a subliminal thing. Yeah, I mean, once you've had a sure thing interrupted by a cell phone. I mean, this was a rotary phone because it was an old movie. Because Diego picked out the old fucking 1993 movie. The other thing was, by the way, Diego, from now on we're picking movies from the 80s and before. So this movie was kind of borderline too new. So going forward, I'm going to have to ask you to work on Saturday.
I'm going to ask you to come in
and then also on Sunday.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
Okay.
Well, now you're not just attacking the movie, you're attacking my ability to choose the movie. Yes. You guys are you're really going after me today.
Yeah, we're going after you like John Malkovich in a balloon.
I've been drinking a lot tonight, so it's going to get worse.
Well, is there really anything else to say?
I think we should go for ratings. What do you guys think? It's 38 minutes. That's more than enough.
I've got enough about the movie than I could possibly talk about.
I feel bad because I'm sure there's going to be some shitty movies that I picked that you guys are going to want to fucking not talk about too.
Wait, but we'll using this movie in the same breath as the word shitty. I don't understand what's going on here.
I'm just fucking with you. Obviously, it's not a shitty movie. It's just not an iconic movie.
It doesn't make you real excited to go and discuss it, and there's not a lot of crazy
when
stuff.
We decided to review Predator, I was
hold on. We haven't
excited.
gone through our quotes yet.
No. I've said when we've said, oh, let's watch Predator. I've seen Predator 100 times probably,
and still excited to see it again.
And I'm still even more excited because we're going to talk and record it. I love
in the interest of fairness.
What was your favorite part about Predator, by the way?
Wait, we're not talking about Predator tonight.
Let's bring it back.
You know what my favorite part about Predator was?
What?
It wasn't this movie.
Brian, I think it's your turn.
No, I was going to say, in the interest of fairness, I think Diego should be able to tell us why this is one of his all-time favorite movies. All-time.
It's because he wanted to be a Secret Service agent. I think that's ultimately why.
secret agent.
No, I mean,
Yes,
maybe
it
that
is.
factors in.
You've been telling me
subconsciously.
about that for years. How you always wanted to be a Secret Service agent. So I mean, plus Clint's in it. So I mean, that's what I think.
Well, I do love Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
I do really like John Malkovich.
Yep.
I think that the movie is very well done. I kind of disagree with you guys on some of the critiques you guys had.
What do you disagree with?
Well, I mean, on
Which
a lot
one?
of your blanket statements,
Which one?
your blanket negative statements. Oh, there's a lot of them that it's not
Which-
iconic. I think it's an iconic movie. I think
Why
it
is it iconic?
If you ask 10 people, how many of 10 people are going to say that this is iconic? Do you guess?
No, we don't need to
Well,
worry
here's the
about.
thing.
We don't
Here's
need
the
to
thing.
worry about other people because other people are stupid. Why don't you think it's iconic?
Well,
Why do you think it's iconic?
I think 95 out of 100 people on Rotten Tomatoes love this movie, and I don't think you're going to find many movies that have a rating of 95 or higher.
And
So I think
I'd give this
a
a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, no, it's a very good
No, I'm
movie.
saying-
It's not iconic though. So why is it iconic for you?
when you have a 95 rating, I think you're getting close to iconic, even though that rating only.
I'm asking for your opinion. Why do you think it's iconic?
Well, again, I think it has very few flaws. I think it's entirely
Dude,
believable.
that sounds like a girl that you just want to be friends with. That's a girl that you want to be friends with. She has
No,
few
you're not
flaws.
letting me finish.
Her ass
You're not
is
letting me
just
finish.
okay. Her titties are, they're all right, but I give them an 8. But I mean, seriously, why is it iconic? Iconic
Are you
means
going to let me talk, or are you going to just keep
no.
asking?
I'm not going to let you talk because you're pissing me off.
You're not Tom Cruise in what's that movie? Shit, now I'm drawing a
Everyone he's
blank.
been in.
No, the one where he says,
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that's been an issue for you lately. Drawing the
What's-
blanks. Drawing blanks.
"Oh, please." Oh my God!
No, anyway.
You're driving me crazy.
Diego,
Why-
you can't seriously defend that ending of that movie as a good ending. You can't.
No, I actually
Can't-
like
can't.
the end. I do.
Oh.
I think it's a believable ending. I
How
think
long
that
does it take
Aim
him
high.
to fall to the bottom?
Aim
It
high.
was so awful. I was like, seriously? He's still fucking falling? I went to the bathroom, I took a shit, and I came back. He's still fucking falling.
He's still falling, flailing away.
Yeah, he's still flailing. It was so. You know what? Yeah, I'll give you this. 90% of that movie was really good. The ending was really awful. It was a lost ending.
okay, tell me why it's so awful.
The ending was awful.
Tell me why.
We did.
No, you didn't.
It was,
You told me that you
it was-
didn't think that the guy would have killed himself
'Cause
by
they were-
letting go.
no, it
He
was
should
horrible.
Fighting in an elevator.
He should
and
have
Horrible
tried.
foreshadowing.
He should have tried to kill him.
It was horrible,
He
horrible.
should've-
I tell you, that movie
Malkovich
went
should
off
have
the
tried to
rails.
kill him when he was falling.
The point they should have rewritten the movie from the point where where Frank realizes where the shooter is coming from, and then they should have just rethought that whole movie because you knew he was going to jump in front. You knew. Then he gets taken hostage. There's only one agent. One. Everybody grabs the president. One agent pulls a gun on the suspect and gets blasted in the face for it.
Yep.
Then he gets taken hostage, and they go up the elevator that you knew they were going to go up. And they do the whole thing where no one's trying to listen in from the beginning. Is that Frank? Could it be Frank that's actually in our earpiece right now? And then he does the whole dialogue where it's the double talk. Shoot me, man, shoot me. Aim high. It was just the whole thing was so cheesy. And then to have him all of a sudden, this dude is a CIA deep cover operative who's a nasty, the most nasty killer you could imagine. And Clint is just pounding him like Sam Elliott, in Roadhouse.
Well,
Is
hold
the
on, he's
hero.
been shot.
And he said he has broken ribs, and all of a sudden he's fighting this dude, and he gets the upper hand and basically shoves the guy out the window. And then you have the
No,
whole
hold on.
scene all over again with the roof, but it's inverted. And instead of him doing a Hans Gruber, he just decides to take a swan dive.
Yeah.
It was corny as hell, and they could have been so much better.
Here to solidify that agreement. The scene when they're together in the elevator talking is not even close to the level of the telephone conversations they had.
Yeah. You know what? The thing I will say though is, I'm trying not to be negative the whole movie because there was a lot of good stuff in this movie. John Malkovich was a beast. Every scene that he had in the movie outside of his swan dive was beastly. He was awesome throughout.
Can I say something?
No, not yet. He was awesome throughout every part of this movie except the end where he just died like a bitch. I'm sorry, died like a person who was not very nice. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, John Malkovich is an awesome actor. This is one of his best movies. Actually, the point that I was going to make earlier, the other thing that I like, you guys were talking, I think it was Brian who brought up the fact that the thing you liked about the movie was all the phone conversations between Malkovich and Clint.
Absolutely.
I like that a lot too, and maybe either the second thing I liked the most about the movie, or maybe even the first, was the way that they were filming. I really liked how they kept doing all those close-ups on Malkovich's face, where it was like zoomed in so far it would just see like his eyes or the side of his face. That was awesome. Like the filming of this movie.
The cinematography.
The cinematography where they're zooming up really close on his face. I really liked that. I thought they did a great job with that.
Yeah, there were some really cool parts. I love the whole beginning scene was sweet. I mean, with Clint and his buddy
Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDermott or whichever guy. Did we decide which guy it was?
John Douche.
Douche.
Pretty much.
You know what I didn't like about that scene though is Clint let guys be behind him when he pulled the gun and tried to arrest the one guy, and that's bad policing right there. He couldn't control everybody that was around him, so he had to shoot the one dude in the chest who came over from his 3 o'clock, and then luckily the guy behind him, that gun that he had to shoot the guy was unloaded, but I just didn't like that. I thought that
movie could have been over a lot faster.
Seriously.
I think another rule we're going to have to initiate is since Jason was doing 90% of the Roadhouse, we're not going to let him talk for 3 weeks. Because we had to make up for the Roadhouse episode.
No, wait a minute. I had to make up for you losers who were unprepared to be on that podcast.
Don't blame me. I do 100% agree. Brian was hungover. I was sober. Diego hadn't watched the movie. So
there's no podcast unless I speak.
We were a little behind. It was so funny because I was listening and Jason was like, so what do you guys think about this scene? We're like,
nothing. So don't blame me for talking so much.
We're just sort of waiting for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then he answers his own question because we're all
I saw the movie like 2 months ago. I thought I could do it without watching the movie again, but apparently not.
No, you can't. It's
First
really
of all,
tough. It's really tough,
name the quote. If you guys actually paid attention to this movie, name the quote that came up 3 times throughout this movie. And I'll give you a hint. Clint Eastwood said it all 3 times.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
No. That actually did come up, though.
I know what it was.
That was like Danny Glover.
That was what do you see? What do you see when you're in the shadows and the demons come? But that wasn't. They both. Yeah, that was only twice, and each one of them said that part.
No,
I thought it was something about pigeons when he kept talking about pigeons.
Nope.
No, I have the answer. Ready? Are you ready for the answer? Are you ready?
He's Googled it.
No, I didn't Google it. Unfortunately, the immutable laws of physics contradict the whole premise of your account. Allow me to reconstruct this, if I may, for Miss Beans, as I've heard this story a number of times. Newman, Kramer, if you'll indulge me, according to your story, Hernandez passes you and starts walking up the ramp. Then you say you were struck on the right temple.
This is Seinfeld.
Then proceeds to ricochet off the temple, striking Newman between the 3rd and 4th rib. The spit then comes off the rib, made a right turn, hitting Newman in the right wrist, causing him to drop his baseball cap. The spit then splashed off the wrist, pauses in midair, mind you, then makes a left turn, lands on Newman's left thigh. That is one magic loogie. The spit could not have come from behind. There must have been a second spitter.
Keith Hernandez.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we've done an entirely different episode of a different show or different movie, the answer is, I'm going to give you guys one last chance.
We don't care enough to figure it out.
I know things about people, Lily.
I thought he said I know things about pigeons when they were talking about the brown pigeon, the white pigeon.
Yeah,
no, he said 3 different times, I know things about, and I think it was people all 3 times.
No, one was pigeons, because I made a reference to the pigeon thing.
He says, I know things about people when he's talking to Al DeAndrea. That was the first reference. And then he says, in the second reference, Yeah, you're right. I know things about pigeons, Lily. And then in the third reference, I don't remember, but there was a third reference. There was definitely a third reference. So I know things was the quote he said 3 times.
Here was the thing that got me was basically that entire movie. The entire movie was written to take a shot at the chief of staff. Basically, they were making fun of chiefs of staff through the whole thing. There's all kinds of little embedded ones. They make the chief of staff the biggest douchebag in the entire movie, played by Fred Thompson. And I just thought that was the funniest thing because there were all these little political things, but that was the one they kept. What's up with chiefs of staff? Why is it always chiefs of staff? And then the last line in the movie, which is always saved for the bad guy, was actually shot at taking it at Fred Thompson's character instead of Malkovich.
Yeah, that's true.
So there you go. And by the way, Fred Thompson, who was an attorney as well in his real life and was actually part of, like I said, part of the Watergate hearings. He was actually minority counsel for the Republicans as part of the hearings, and Nixon didn't like him. Nixon called him dumb as shit. Thought that was kind of funny. I did a little Google thing after the movie.
Do you know what state
ran
he's
for
from?
president a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Do you know what state he's from?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's where
he's
actually from Alabama, but that's where he was.
Well,
he ran from Tennessee, and he was actually appointed after Al Gore was selected as vice president.
He's almost as bad as Rudy Giuliani at running for president. I think he got like 0 delegates almost.
Now he's talking.
Big dumb actor.
Now he's hawking reverse mortgages, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's correct.
I just remember him from Days of Thunder.
One other
another awesome movie.
one other theme
Just not letting this go, dude.
Seriously, I love that fucking movie. I've
just
seen
tell you
that
that-
at least 100 times, and you know what? It was actually good every time I watched it. It was
All right,
fucking
well, we
awesome.
can review it at some point, and you can shut up about it now. How about that?
All right,
We'll review it. And then you can talk about
let's put this. It's been an hour. Let's put this baby to bed.
Let me say one last thing. One other theme that came up time and time again. Can anybody guess what theme I'm talking about?
Pigeons.
No, there was one theme that John Malkovich kept bringing up, and that actually worked in terms of the script to be able to come up multiple times, where I thought it was pretty cleverly done, which was irony. He kept bringing up irony, and he kept explaining why certain scenes were ironic. For example,
there were some cool. Well, I mean, just the whole that those scenes alone. If you just did cut scenes of just those conversations in the movie, that was by far the best part of the movie. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
The interplay between.
I like the fact that throughout the whole thing, I mean, Frank's career is on the line. He's got a personal. This guy's after him personally, but he never takes his eyes off the prize. He's still macking on Rene Russo the entire time, dude. He's all about getting some ass. It's great.
Yeah,
that is focus, man. I love it.
Maybe that's why I love the movie so much. All right, so JJ, put this thing to bed.
What are you doing? We're rating it? Talking about our favorite quote? What's the deal?
If you guys aren't going to do favorite quote, then we're gonna rate it. But I would say favorite quotes first.
Favorite quotes. World can be a cruel place to an honest man. And I believe that was Leary talking to Frank when they were on the phone, one of their conversations.
All right. Next.
Am I up?
I guess.
Sure.
I guess. I loved when my favorite line in the whole movie is when Clint Eastwood goes, "I got to put all that shit back on."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that part too. I think my favorite part was when Teddy KGB said, "In my club, I will splash the pot whenever the fuck I please."
Just go eat some Oreos and talk about inline fire, not rounders.
Or maybe when he said, "Niet, no more, not tonight. This son of bitch, all night he check. He trapped me."
Oh man! All right,
Respect,
Diego. What's your favorite
is
quote?
all you
hold
have
on.
in the morning.
Matt, does that mean you're out here?
No. I actually have some quotes from this movie too. I was just
Okay.
talking about another movie I like way better than this that Malkovich did. Anyway, I don't know whether I should do one of the quotes that I think is a better quote or one of the quotes that's more appropriate. I think it was really powerful when Malkovich was saying, when he was yelling at him and he was just saying, "I see you standing over the grave of another dead president." I mean, I thought that was an awesome line.
Yep.
I
Trying to
mean,
get in
that
his head a
was,
little bit.
Especially when Clint Eastwood was trying to intimidate him right then. I mean, he was clearly
Yeah.
intimidated, and the dude just fired right back at him. You know what I see, Frank? Bam. That was a great line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of funny lines, in the movie, but I thought that was a really powerful line that Malkovich delivered, like money, because he's awesome.
I still like "Pain Don't Hurt." That was my favorite one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
pain don't.
My way or the highway, Leary.
I mean, it was also, for a funny line, I would probably go with when they were shooting the birds, when he gave the his composite gun to the guys, and he's like, said that he wanted to shoot, he was going to shoot the president. And he said, "Why would you want to do that, mister? Why'd you kill that bird, asshole?" And then he took him out, and that was a good scene too.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
But maybe even better was when he was in the almost sex scene, interrupted by the phone, where he was like, "I was just wondering where you hide your firearm." "Don't tell me. Let me guess."
Good line, I'm telling you, man. He never took his eyes off the prize through the whole movie.
Yeah,
He was a dirty old man in that movie, man. He really was. Like, he was constantly trying to get on that young poon. Right?
Mission accomplished.
My goodness.
I mean,
All right, Diego, your
the
favorite.
young beautiful lady. Sorry.
all right. So my favorite probably. I mean, I actually had a few that I liked, but we'll go with one. I again like the irony. One of the irony quotes where Larry says, "The irony is so thick you could choke on it," and Horrigan says, "There's no fucking irony, Mitch." And then Larry says, "Think, Frank, think. The same government that trained me to kill trained you to protect. Yet you now want me to kill while up on that roof I protected you. Now you want to kill me while up on that roof I protected you. They're going to write books about us, Frank." I thought that was pretty clever. I thought that was, it wasn't one of those quotes where it's like, somebody.
I hear that at the bar all the time.
That wasn't a quote. That was like a freaking That was an excerpt.
Fine,
like
dialogue. It was a couple sentences, but
Yes.
I thought that right there was one of the best lines in the movie, or best set of lines in the movie, where they were going back and forth about their roles in protecting the current president and the irony involved in their situation. I thought it was pretty clever.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well written.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just going to say, I think probably word for word, my favorite quote of the movie was when Jessup said, "Son, we live in a world that has walls. Those walls have to be guarded by men with guns." Who's going to do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg?
By the way,
I have a greater
was what I-
responsibility than you could possibly fathom.
It's
Yeah,
time
a few
for
good men
ratings.
was what I said earlier, by the way.
It's time for ratings.
Okay, go
Who
ahead.
wants the
I'm
rate?
starting.
Who wants the rate?
You can't handle the truth.
I will rate it. I will rate it. Okay.
You're going to rate it?
It's a very solid movie. It loses its thrill after subsequent viewings, but the first time is quite excellent, well acted, pretty well written. I am going to give it an approximately 7.8 banker neck snaps out of 10.
Banker, wow, that is mean. Poor woman. Poor woman.
All right, who's next?
I'll go. Let's see. I feel like this is not fair because maybe I should bump my rating of Roadhouse up a little bit because I think I called that 7 out of 10. And I want to rate this 7 out of 10, but I'd obviously watch Roadhouse a lot more often than I would probably go back to watch this one. But I don't feel like this is a bad movie, so let me bump Roadhouse back up to an 8 out of 10 because I'm going to give this one.
Hey, Roadhouse had nudity. Remember that.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Rene Russo almost had nudity, but
I'm
Almost
going to
doesn't
give
count.
this. I'm going to give this 7. John Malkovich is still fucking falling from that elevator out of 10.
And I just spit out my drink. All right, Plessinger.
all right. I think. God damn. Is everyone else already voted?
Not Diego. He gets to go
All
last
right,
because he chose the
no,
movie.
I'm gonna have him go because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, I don't do anything other than half. I don't do 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So this is I've been going back and forth on this, but I'm gonna say I give this 9. I would love to fuck Rene Russo's.
And you're getting on mad about being misogynistic, and here you go.
No, that's not misogynistic. That's the very opposite of that. I love women. I want to have sex with them. I don't hate them. I love them.
If you loved them, you wouldn't want to have sex with them.
Unlike my buddy here who loves the cock.
Now we're being homophobic. I see.
No, that was from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Love
I
that
get
movie.
it. I get it. All right. So it's your turn,
Passenger.
Matt.
Let's see. What should I rate this movie? It's a tough one. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff. Malkovich was awesome. And Clint Eastwood was good. Rene Russo was all right.
Plastic guns.
Yeah, there was plastic guns that were kind of neat.
Dudes falling for 30 seconds.
The last fall was pretty long. It was a little bit longer than expected.
Yeah, they've had the running time.
Yeah. What should we call this? How about I edit this and rate it later?
But
Should I do that? Should I be like,
No.
I'll edit this and rate it later? No. What should I rate this? I had it all figured out. But I'm gonna give it 7.3 rendezvous with my ass.
All right. Well, on that note,
So who's next?
Episode 4.
So who has the next magic loogie for next week?
I think we should go back to Weaver because he kind of got hosed out of his.
Yeah. Even though Predator is his favorite
How-
movie of all time, we'll give him another.
Right.
We'll give him another choice.
So I've had one in mind. And Plessinger opened the door by saying it can be older than the 90s. I mean, before the 80s.
We shouldn't
All
do
right.
anything before 90.
And this I want to watch because it's a hilarious movie. To me, it's one of my favorite movies.
Is
of
it
all.
available on Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon?
Oh, let me check. Ooh, crap.
That's the other key. We got to make sure we can actually watch it.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't check. Hold on. Let me check. Search.
We're having dead air. Dead air is bad.
Yeah, this is great. Oh, son of a bitch.
Everyone's just holding their breath, trying to figure out what we're going to do
No,
next week.
I'm not gonna throw that one out. We'll have to wait because I don't know if let me see if I can find it because it's DVD only on Netflix. So let me see if I can find it.
from now on, let's make sure that when we're doing our podcast, we have the next person up ready with this next movie.
That's a
That's
good
cool.
idea.
I just didn't know it was my turn or if I was
No,
gonna
it's not, dude. I'm not giving you shit.
Whatever,
I'm just saying.
Diego.
From now
Whatever,
on,
dude, whatever.
Let's do that. Let's warn the next person in an email before we start that they have to have their next movie ready.
Well, I emailed you the synopsis and you didn't read it, so how is that going to
Read your damn synopsis. What I needed you guys to do was back me up on what an iconic, amazing movie this is.
We didn't get that in an
It
email.
would have been iconic if we watched, I don't know, any of the other Clint Eastwood movies. Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Dirty Harry, Outlaw Josie Wales.
You know, my second favorite.
Any other movie he did.
You know what my second favorite Clint Eastwood movie is?
Let's keep
It
him out.
is Absolute Power.
Oh yeah, that's another political thriller.
Yeah. Another.
What year was that?
You know what we should watch? We should watch They Live in honor of Roddy Piper's passing. Or Hell Comes to Frogtown, one of his classic movies.
We should watch a documentary on why you shouldn't do cocaine and do steroids.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Well,
you know what we should watch?
I think for a professional wrestler to make it to 62 is pretty fucking good. I mean,
and by the way, if anything killed that guy, I don't think it's even steroids. He didn't look that big. I think he was doing lines.
Probably.
And I think it weakened. It weakened his heart.
He was doing both, I'm sure.
No, I'm just saying. If there's anything, looking at him, I would have thought the lines killed him, not the steroids.
Weaver, did you get a movie yet?
Well, it's not on Netflix, so I'm gonna have to pick something because I was gonna do Blazing Saddles, but I can't. But I can't find and because I think it would be interesting to watch it. You have to watch the real version,
right?
Not anything on TV, because I mean, to think about how that movie could never be made now. Never.
Yeah. Where are the white women at?
Yeah, that's.
I love that movie.
What was your movie earlier?
I didn't really. Well, I mean, I guess Predator kind of got assigned, but I just assumed that we were picking that sort of as a group movie.
Yeah.
But that was back when I didn't know if we were doing like iconic 80s movies like Die, because then it would be like
we're supposed to be doing everything before 1990, but Diego kind of fucked that up.
Yeah, exactly.
So all right, well,
we'll figure it out. But let me see if I can find it, and if it doesn't end up being Blazing Saddles, then I'd like to see if we can maybe do, something like Die Hard or one of those more iconic 80s movies.
I mean, I'm happy with Die Hard or Blazing Saddles is awesome. I hope we can find that because that would be a good one.
Yep, let's do that one if we can find it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
By the way, what did you guys think of my picture of Eliza Dushku?
I still haven't seen it.
What? What do you mean you haven't seen it?
I mean, I haven't. My eyes haven't viewed the picture.
Well, why? I sent it.
All right, fellas.
All right, Brian, send me your phone number.
Okay, I'll put it on
all
the. Yep. All right.
Hey.
All right. Signing off until next week when we do something good. We'll see. We'll see you then.
All right. Well, great show, guys.
See you guys
later.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you ain't careful, you're going to get carpal tunnel on this one. It's the Spider-Man, a.k.a. DJ Easy Dick. And it's time to shoot a rope and get the head right. It's the jack-off hour, girl. And you know it's W Balls, the #1 station via CD satellite, breaking you off into the early morning light.